Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, viewers, wherever you are, whatever part of the world you are in. This is your host, Aijaz Qureshi, with today's the Aijaz Qureshi Show. Today's episode is about our voices being heard. All right. So the topic is, you have seen in the announcement, let our voices be heard. Our esteemed guest today is Alia Sarfraz, who is a solicitor, who is a paralegal. She's an activist. She's a community affairs activist. She's a blogger herself. She's a coalition with Dorothy Brown. She's Women's Committee at Rainbow Push. She is a legal advisor at Kashmir Council of Australia. She is also part of the Free Aafia Siddiqui movement. She has legal degree. She is an attorney from Australia. She has worked on behalf of the plaintiffs, the defendants, on behalf of the government. She has lots and lots of these things under her belt. She, for the Australian government, she has been blogging on behalf of CAAGLOP as a UN volunteer. She has looked at their obligations, their safeguards for protecting individuals and researched legal policies, things like that. She has worked in the USA and Australia. Currently, she is residing in Chicago, and she's reflecting the ability to quickly adapt to the new given situation. Whatever situation you put her in, she is going to come out with flying colors. And she specializes in so many different things that after reading her bio, I was like, what? How can you do all these things? So she is she specializes in personal injury law. She specializes in tort law, insurance law, bad faith, property damages, third-party claims, fraud, government policy, problem solving, research and analysis. And she is also a human rights activist. So let's welcome her to the show. And here she comes. Alia, welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. I'm really honored to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for accepting my request and hopping on the show. It has been really, really a pleasure. I have been looking at the comments. They were coming in and they were pouring in and pouring in. And so many people love you and love your work. That's really amazing, amazing to see. So let's get started with the show, Alia. So you have a passion for the law and for humanity and working for humanity, right? Where all this started? Where did you get your initial education? Let's take a step back and go back. Imagine yourself when you were like 10. What was Alia Sarfraz at that time?
Well, I think it all basically started in observing the people around me and having stories told of various influences throughout my life. I think that was one of the things that my father reinforced at bedtime. He would bring along stories about Abraham Lincoln and what he achieved, Louis Pasteur and what he achieved. And there was one moment when I think Muhammad Ali was protesting against the Vietnam War. And my dad sort of looked at the TV screen and he said, well, look at that. I want you to be like that when you grow up. Wow. So I think that kind of stuck with me. And to hear my father say that that is what you have to aspire to be really resonated with me strongly. And then I think that inner wanting to be fighting for the right cause was what I had always been seeking throughout my life.
Awesome. That's great. So where did you go for your initial education, Alia?
I basically stayed in the same school throughout my life, and that was in Sydney, Australia. That is where I was raised, and I pursued my Bachelor of Science and my law degrees in Australia.
Okay, good. That's great. Let me say that you don't have Australian accent at all. So what is the reason behind that? Like like your accent is more westernized than the Australian New Zealand accent.
I think it's just well, my part of my story was the move to the USA, and so I've become this fusion, a global fusion of different accents, of different sort of everywhere I go, I take some part of where I lived with me. And then apart from that, like every 2 years, we would go to Pakistan and we would observe what Pakistani culture was about. And so I think from that aspect, I've been able to retain and move along my journey in life and be able to adopt to any given situation.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Let's take some comments. Comments have started pouring in. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us. If you have any question related to the topic, you can put them into the comment and we'll try to answer them. You can ask Alia and definitely she will be able to answer those questions. Sayyid Saad Hussain is saying Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. And he's saying, wow, thank you so much. Mushtaq Rotter is here saying Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. Thank you so much. Sarfraz Khan, absolutely. Alia Sarfraz is awesome. Absolutely, she is. There is no doubt about that. And Dr. Nagman Zaveri is our very famous dentist from Pakistan. He is Torontonian, lives here in Toronto. Beautiful person. He is teaching, contributing. He's a professor of dental surgery. Thank you so much for hopping on the show, Dr. Saab. Jafar Hussain Saab is saying, Aijaz Saab, which Facebook Live you are using? I'll tell you, do me an inbox and I'll tell you what I'm using. Thank you so much. Kamran is saying, Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you? Wa alaikum assalam. I'm good. Thank you so much. Topic is definitely, I'll tell you the topic. The topic is let our voices be heard. And let me bring the topic up as well right here. All right, you see the topic now. So, friends, thank you so much. Hamza, I'll take your comment in a moment, but I have to continue with the show. Thank you so much. So we're talking about let our voices be heard. Most of the time, our voices are not heard, and we keep raising our voices. We'll have to define that whose voices they are that we are trying to communicate. Is it our voice? Is it somebody else's voice? And but we'll dig into all those things. But let's define what the voices are. Like
I want to I want to talk about the collective voice of humanity.
Collective
and
voice.
how
Good.
And I feel that today's environment is thriving off pitting people against people, and identity politics has become the forefront of any sort of campaign throughout the world. And even as part of our duty is to be able to recognize when that happens and to sort of call out incorrect sort of behavior when that is seen. And for that reason, we will not embrace peace until we come forward and speak on the behalf of what our purpose and mission in life is.
So identity crisis, are we talking about individual identity, or are we talking about national identity, or what kind of identity are we talking about?
Well, we can go into, just look at me, for example. I'm a Muslim, I'm a lawyer, a female, and then we can look at, well, I fall into a specific income bracket as well. And so then when we come to those issues, we can see that these people from certain areas, and then you can look at another person and then see that they're being marginalized in a different area. We can go on to the Black Lives movements. We can go on to, certain other people, like communities that feel marginalized and oppressed. And for that reason, we have to be the voice for everybody else.
So sometimes our identity gets challenged, right? So people don't want to, either they don't want to accept our identity as an individual or as a nation or as a group of people. What should we do in that circumstance? How should we raise our voice? How should we communicate that who we are, why they should hear us?
I feel that there is a power in having the spoken word get out. And when we embrace silence, it's almost identified as complicit behavior, where we're not shrugging off and condemning what is happening around us. So if all of us take that one step to identify that this has happened, this is incorrect, we want to change this, the change starts with each one of us individually.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, so what happens? I mean, who should really be, communicating or raising the concerns? Whose responsibility it is? Should that person being affected be raising his or her voice or their voices, or it's somebody else's responsibility, or it's the social activist's responsibility to raise and go beyond and express those people?
I think it's everybody's duty in today's environment, because I think what is happening is there is a certain media, there is a certain that caters to a certain category of people, and we can't play into that, and we have to embrace each other going forward and say that we do not want to listen to what is being told to us. We know that there is a greater beneficial interest if we all work together for each other.
That's good. That's good. What do you think about profiling? Do people get profiled?
I think the statistics show that it is happening. And I think that is part of the pitting of people against each other. And that has to stop.
That has to stop. Absolutely, it has to stop, because profiling is the worst thing that we can do to ourselves. If we profile somebody else will profile us as well. I mean, it's a ripple effect, you know. All right, so let's go back to some comments here before we go further on our show. Dr. Nagman Zaveri saying, thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Mushtaq Rathar is saying, please talk a little bit about Kashmir issues. Mushtaq Saab, this show is beyond politics and religion stuff and controversial issues and things like that. There are lots of other platforms that are already talking about Kashmir issues and India and Pakistan situation. But unfortunately, I do not talk about those topics in my show. I'm sorry. This is completely motivational, empowerment kind of show. Thank you so much for your comment. Dr. Meher Akhtar is saying, interested to set up a paralegal support in community. What are the basic requirements? So that's the question to you, Alia.
Okay. Well, I as a paralegal here in the USA, I had to get some training when it came to a certification. But aside from that, there are different areas you can go into for specializing. As far as for advocating on behalf of minority groups, there are organizations like CARE and the ACLU that you can lend out to for support if there's domestic violence issues. There's the Hamdard organization as well that caters to those sorts of areas. I'm not specifically sure in what area she wanted paralegal support, or if it's her case that she's involved in, and if she wants to reach out to me with personal details, that's fine too. I'm willing to take a look into that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I think she's saying she wants to set up something for the community so that they can get justice, so their voices can be heard, you know. So
Okay.
that's what she's trying to say. But yeah, Dr. Mayor Akhtar, please reach out to Alia and she'll be able to help you. Thank you so much. Kamran is saying, how can we improve our words to attack someone's heart so that they can empathize, they can hear us?
Okay. Well,
That's a good question.
if I talk about my personal journey, you know, I'm into Rumi, and Rumi was a healer. He was a spiritual master, and to have that change extend out and reach humanity, one has to embrace themselves first and really work on their own self-mastery. And there's a lot of power in the mind and the thought, and conquering those first will help you in your outreach. So any negative thoughts we must block. Any thoughts of helplessness we must block. And we must go towards that healing and recognizing that Rumi's poetry is like the #1 bestseller in the USA. Why is that? Why don't we look towards that and see that is how we must strive to be? And I think even Imran Khan identifies that Sufism is the way to move forward. There are certain concepts within the teachings of that we've sort of cast aside and said that these things don't apply to us. But I think it's that love, that ability to recognize that there is a universe within ourselves, and we have to work on that. And, you know, everybody at the end of the day, I think, is in need of love.
Absolutely. Everybody is. Thank you so much. Dr. Mayor Akhtar is saying, okay, she's further qualifying her point. She's saying, I had a support group in Karachi, resident support group. Thank you so much. Jafar Hussain is saying, dear Alia Sarfraz, is there any book to improve our communication and our voices be heard?
I think that is correct in identifying that we always need to work on teaching and learning and embracing concepts. There are multiple books. I don't have any particular favorite when it comes to that, but I think mentoring with people as well and watching how they impact each other and the power and influence of mentors combined with books is one of the ways forward. I feel that at the current environment and in the situations that we have been placed, I think it's time to say we can just do this without even having to read up on bookish knowledge. We have to learn to try and apply certain ways and go from there. Communication can be in the form of written, it can be oral, it can be, you know, via social media. We all need to really start speaking and not just letting our voices get mute, because that isn't going to help. I think it's your communication happens in the workplace. It happens with young children. It happens with your neighbor, and exhibiting behaviors of good neighborliness will go a long way.
Yeah. Communication starts from home, right? You communicate right with your family, and so one should know how to communicate with each other. Absolutely. Sarfraz Khan is saying, so you are talking about those people who are marginalized and oppressed?
Yes, I feel that there is a greater duty to speak on behalf of those people. You know, I think we have to share balance of power. And even when, you know, we see that certain people are, you know, not being catered to in certain environments, that we should speak up. And then we should speak up on their behalf. If we are not affected, or if we are affected, we should speak on our behalf as well.
Absolutely, we should. Thank you. Shahzeb Iqbal runs a show known as The Amazing People of the World, saying Assalamu Alaikum. Thank you so much. And Kamran Karachiwala is saying thanks to answer. Appreciate. Thank you so much for asking the question, actually. This is your show. We are here for you. So thank you so much. Then he's saying, Sir, mashallah, your show brings happiness in our lives. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. If you think that way, I'm really honored. Dr. Merakhtar is saying, true healing poetry and really love the healer. Show love and acceptance. Absolutely. We have to show love and acceptance of everybody. Kamran Karachiwala is saying Chicago is a beautiful place, especially Devon West, Food Street. Absolutely. I love that place. Absolutely. Whenever I go Chicago, I must go there. And there is one special Nihari place I visit every single time. I even take home from there, bring it to Toronto. Muhammad Anwar Nadeem is saying, thanks for the nice conversation. Please discuss how to boost the spirituality and enlighten our souls. Spirituality. Okay, we'll definitely have some shows on spirituality. I have planned that. We'll bring in a spiritual leader who will talk about all these kind of things. Today's topic is to let our voices get heard. Now, voices, there are different ways to make our voices heard. There is print media, there is electronic media, and then on top of that, there is social media nowadays, right? Media is becoming very, very powerful these days. What do you think? What kind of tool it is? Can we make our voices heard using social media, Alia?
Yes, I feel that social media combined with connecting with the right people is one of the most powerful tools we have in our hand. I sit in Chicago, but with a connection to a cable and having access to, computers is able to generate a lot of impact. Just the content of your posts and the outreach that you can have will most definitely sway people and their opinions and the way they think and view issues. So it all depends on what purpose you have. And if we take each day as focusing on our mission and our purpose in life and realize that we are none more but servants, dedicated, and we cut out the I's and start to see the we's, then and increase our sphere of concern from just the basic my family to my local community, and then embrace that further and push the boundary and then take that to a whole new level of humanity, then your wings will spread wider and you will see changes come in your life that will be God sent.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. You talked about we. What do you think? Who should come first, I or we?
See, I think we have to go back to our purpose in life. And then again, if I go back to Rumi, and Rumi talks about I, but then I becomes God manifesting in yourself. That is one of the most deepest concepts. And I think that's why people love him so much, because they realize that they have God within them, and that can go further. And we really need to start looking beyond what matters to it, as hard as it is, but it's a process and work every day. Even I myself, I work on that. It's, I have to look past just me and my struggle. And I think part of the mental health issues and the other things, I mean, I'm not an expert in those areas, but I think that's why the connection isn't there with people anymore.
Great. Awesome. So would you categorize yourself, Alia, as a spiritual person?
Yes, my spirituality has helped me go forward and embrace the tests that I faced in life. No doubt.
That's good. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So we got some more comments, then we're going to continue with our topic. Jafar Hussain is saying, yes, thank you. I will follow your instructions. Thanks, Alia and Aijaz. Thank you so much for asking the question and commenting back. Thank you so much. Sam Sajjad, all the way from New Shuttle, Switzerland, is saying, good, nice show, sir. Thank you so much for your appreciation and saying Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. Sarfraz Khan is saying, so what are the best ways for the people to make their voices heard? Okay.
Okay.
Good question.
I'm going to talk about my own self. I mean, I've read certain books where they talked about, feminization in the workplace and how why part of the reasons why there isn't maternity leave or people don't allow women to have that balance in lifestyle is because we haven't really vocalized. We haven't spoken, we haven't engaged. And sometimes you don't get until you ask. When you go to a table and sit at a table, don't just assume that these people know your struggle. They don't. Until you talk about how you feel, how it affects you, then they cannot come and embrace empathy for you. Okay, so that's part of what I engage in, or when somebody feels like their rights have been violated, I go ahead and I tell or share how they have certain avenues to recourse. And then they look back and then they decide themselves. I'm not going to ask somebody to go ahead and, fight for themselves if they're not interested. But I think we always have to, and even in small situations, even when a child fights with another child, to sit back and say, well, look back, try to work out what happened yourself, what is right, what is wrong, and, try to make them also rationalize their behavior, even in schools. I know the school that my daughters go to, they have a multicultural night, which is great. They all appreciate each other's cultures. And it's not until you talk about your own that other people will recognize. We have so much in common through food. You can invite somebody to your home and show them what, being Muslim is about, that we do embrace kindness. We love hosting people. We love our food. We love to share. We enjoy your celebrations of your festivities. We're not hostile. We're not angry. We're actually I think most Muslims are in the happiest place when they're in prayer, So, aspects like that, they really need to come into your space, and then you need to go into their space, because not doing that will not break boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Thank you so much. Muhammad Anwar Nadeem is saying, thanks for the promise to conduct a show on spirituality in upcoming days. Nice job today as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Farooq Shahid is saying, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Dr. Meher Akhtar is saying, advocacy is very important. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, Alia, where all this started, like youth versus, adulthood. It looks like we are at war, Youth thinks that the adults, they don't understand their issues, their problem, they don't empathize, they don't put themselves into their shoes. Adults think that probably the youth is not getting their point, and they're going astray, and all those kind of things. Where all these things started, what do you think?
I think even myself and my approach with my children, I think it has to stem from love. People cannot see you as an enemy. For instance, I would not get the best response if I said to my daughter, please go clean up your room. You haven't done this for 2 weeks. I take my approach back and I say, honey, I love you. I care about you. I want to bring the best in you. I want you to meet certain goals. And they're not for me, they're for you. Please clean your room. Or here, I'll help you. That engages a better response than the first. But it's always easier for me to snap in the first response that I make. So I think because a lot of people are recipients of, hate and coldness and bitterness, that when one person takes that time to engage in kindness, it gets a response that is better received.
True. Yeah. At home, definitely, I ask my kids, And when I see them not doing that, I start doing it, and they would come along, and they would definitely help out, and then I don't have to do anything. And now they're at the stage that they are doing it themselves. They realize that if we don't do it, he will come forward and do it. So that's how they feel their responsibility, which is really good. Okay, so when we talk about getting our voices heard, on the other side, what if they're not willing to hear us at all?
Well, see, I think even in the current state of climate in America, people are still resisting. And there are various avenues and various movements, and people
Oh,
just
the
keep
listeners or
pushing.
the speakers, who are resisting?
I think majority at large is very displeased with the conduct.
Okay.
I think people are, you know, either, but it has become polarized. There's two extremes, but people who have been pushing keep pushing. And then I think people are identifying that somebody who is or presents with a level of hate for people, it extends to all, to the point where it becomes so selfish that I think people are seeing that eventually their community group will get targeted.
Right. That's good. Okay, Dr. Mehta is saying, I think you today is very responsible. They are more aware and sensitive. Thank you so much. Dr. Mehta further is adding, parenting has to be progressive. You are right about showing love. Absolutely. Yeah, love is the number one thing that everything has to start with, no matter what. Okay, that's good. So, so what do you think about coming at par and sitting on the table to have dialogue about voices being heard? What do you think about it?
Okay, my personal experience was I was shy on certain issues. I kept my profile not public. And the minute I opened my profile was when I received a huge response from Pakistan, especially the PTI wing post Imran Khan's election is when I think was the peak of my profile boost. My certain posts went viral. Imran Khan is a figure that, you know, a lot of people look up to as motivational, inspirational. He made it through, despite all these challenges, all his adversaries. And, you know, and so I just had a few posts about that. And then they really struck a chord with people. And then eventually one of the advocates for the overseas Pakistani cause and for the Aafia Siddiqui movement sort of found my voice as a platform for that cause. And, you know, so I think that was one of the reasons why I got a boost in posts. And then when we share and we all engage in certain sentiments, that power gets further and further. And Facebook is being watched by all sorts of people, including your local representatives. So they are seeing, and they will sway depending on the way the voices are being heard and made. And I think people just sit back and they say, well, this issue is happening and, you know, it doesn't affect me. Well, to engage in and to just let things go will not have an impact at all. There are a lot of people, even I've seen coming to America, that have been engaged in their 9-to-5 role and not engaging in activism, which hasn't gotten us far. I think 9/11 did some good to Muslims in a certain way, in that we became more of a community. We sort of identified with each other more, and our struggles came to the forefront. And then post-Trump getting elected, there was a lot of dawah and outreach in masjids. We were calling people over. People got interested in wanting to read the Quran and wanting to learn why is there hostility. So sometimes things that are viewed as negative can actually have a positive outcome.
That's great. That's great. Now, we all have the same time. We all have 24 hours in our lives, right? Every single day we got 24 hours. What do you think? Where should we be spending our time? Should we be spending with Netflix? Should we be spending it with social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, things like that? Or where should we be spending that time? What is the correct way of spending our time?
Okay. But time is one of those concepts where if you go to your own, I think every day I wake up and I ask God to put mission and purpose in my life. And when I ask for those things, I get more blessing, or what we call barakah, in my time. And even when we cook, when we take every single step of our day as an action towards reaching a closeness with God, that is when we will really receive blessings and will manifest God throughout our day. And I think it's, I mean, obviously people want to relax, people want to watch Netflix, people want to spend time with family, but aside from that, we have no choice. We have become politicized. Every day we wake up and we are viewed a certain way. And activism is not out of our equation. We have to work.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, why do we need to shape people the way they want to portray themselves or their point of view? Why don't we let them speak on your behalf? Sometimes this happens. Sometimes
It
people
happens,
say,
but
okay, why are you talking on my behalf? Well, I have the capability to talk on myself, about myself.
It happens, but nobody can speak best for anybody other than you. Nobody understands you better than you. Nobody knows your heart. Nobody knows your intentions. And until you try to work and clear up any misinformations, of course, sometimes we won't get along with people. We have our, but at the same time, I think there's a duty incumbent on all of us to sit there and engage and to say, hey, look, this is how I feel, this is how you feel, or just even by actions. Sometimes the action speaks louder than words. There's so many stories about Sahaba and how they were ill-treated, even our Prophet ﷺ. But to show patience, to show love, to show compassion can go a long way. And that is how the message spread.
That's right. Absolutely, you're right. Thank you. Dr. Mayor Akhtar is saying all social media is useful if used properly, focused on issues and programs. Yes, absolutely, I agree. I use it for health, human rights, technology updates. Absolutely. And, this show is also another example of a good use of social media. We have done over 250 shows now, and each one of them has been very well accepted. We are contributing to the community. We are contributing to the society. We have launched a great program using this Facebook social media to train 500,000 Pakistani youth on website development for free. And that program has been accepted very well all around Pakistan. This is the power of the social media. I did not know a single person. Now we have over 2,500 students registered for our program, and our plan is to train 500,000 in 2 years. So that's the power of the social media. Absolutely. Dr. Anand is saying is a great friend of mine, visited Toronto as well. He's from UK, originally from India, and giving thumbs up. Actually, 3 thumbs up. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. Elizabeth Perez Oliveri is a great person. My friend. She's saying she's extending her love. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And shared. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. This is the best thing that you can do to share these videos. Absolutely. All right. So we are all a creation of God, right? And there is a purpose behind that. There's a reason. Nothing happens for no reason. Everything happens for a reason. We have been created for a reason. And what do you think that where should we be connected to? What do you think? How do we channel our energy, our focus, our voices? What should we be doing?
Okay. Well, I feel that every day we have to connect with our creator. I think without that, we lack focus, we lack purpose. We draw ourselves towards that, then we have to then take that and connect with, try to connect. You can't always, but just do your best. At least in your heart, you know, you have tried. And, you know, you will not be received by everybody well. That's okay. But I think we have to really engage, we have to talk, we have to share. And sometimes people, you know, talk, engage in other ways, and that's okay. You know, like even in my workplace, we had a Ramadan ceremony, like a taste of Ramadan is what they called it. So that people could understand what Ramadan was about. We had dates, we had watermelon, we had biryani, and you know, so at the end of our festivities, these people
Now
were
you're
like,
making me hungry, Alia.
these people were like, you know, oh, okay, this is great. You know, this is what their Ramadan's about. You know, they fast. They're not going to know. You have to explain things.
True.
You know, we all teach each other, and I think we have to explain perspective, where we come from, the background that we were exposed to, and then look and try to say, well, this is what we're about, this is what we have to offer. And you know what, these people actually appreciate you. And sometimes I feel like these people will extend more love towards you. If you go out on the street, there's nobody really hating on people. It's just something that the media likes to portray. And I'm not sure exactly why, but it happens.
Great. Great. Thank you. Elizabeth is saying, love you guys and what you do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that praise and appreciate it. And she's saying, I salute you from Okeechobee County, Florida. Thank you so much. Welcome to our show. Thank you so much. Saika Noshin Khan, she is saying hi. Very glad to see you. Thank you so much. Saika is a political person. She's an RJ. She does radio. She's a great person. MashaAllah. She's doing great work, and she's a social activist as well at the same time, working for the people, especially working for the women of the underprivileged areas. So thank you so much, Saika, for hopping on the show. Appreciate it. Dr. Meher Akhtar is saying, very nice. Sharing food, absolutely. We have to share food. Absolutely, we do. Now, going back to the topic, Alia, let our voices be heard. Who are we saying these words? Let. You know, I'm focusing on the word let.
Okay.
Yeah. So who are these people that we are trying to address? Who wouldn't
well,
let?
I think in the context of the Muslim ban, why? You know, why not? Let. Why do you need to put up a barrier? Even with the whole walled situation right now, let their voices be heard. Let everybody, I don't think there's a majority consensus in favor of that. Unfortunately, and like we are seeing a pushback. We have 2 female congressmen that are Muslim. And, you know, I think a few years ago, there were a lot of Muslims that say, well, we can't engage in this with these people. We don't bring anything to the table. You know, it's just picking a vote is between the lesser evils. That's sending signals of failure and to adopt and engage in behaviors that will not move or bring about change. And look at them. They're just they have a huge backing behind them. They're not bought, and they're not bossed.
Absolutely. All right. Elizabeth is further extending, saying everything that is positive is worthy to share, and she is a really great person. Thank you so much, Liz, for sharing. I really appreciate it. Mohammed Nadeem Jahangir is our master trainer for Pakistan Development Program, is sharing his opinion on Pakistan Development Program, saying, yes, Pakistan Development Program is a noble initiative contributing to the society, and giving thumbs up. Thank you so much for being out there and helping the humanity. This program, Alia, let me tell you, this program has been really accepted so well that it's not being financially supported by any NGO or any government or anything. It's all on self-sustainment basis. We haven't reached out to the government to give us money to run this program. You know, everybody is coming forward, putting their 2 cents in. They're spending their money from their own pockets, helping the humanity. We have recently trained lots and lots of women. We have empowered them so that they can go back to the drawing board and start working, and stand on their own feet, and do not really go here and there, so they can become social entrepreneurs eventually. So thank you so much for commenting, Nadeem. Appreciate it. Mushtaq Rathar saying, please talk a little bit about Kashmir. I told you, sir, I cannot talk about that topic because there are lots of other platforms that are being they're talking about it. So going back to the topic, is there anything else, Alia, that we haven't really talked about that relates to the topic, so that we can conclude this program?
No, I think we pretty much covered most of what I wanted to say. We just have to take power into our hands, not expect people to work on your behalf without knowing what your struggle is. Until you explain to somebody how it is to experience a TSA officer harass you at an airport, nobody's going to understand. People are so engaged in their 9-to-5 lifestyle that for them to look out of that is difficult. And that is why we have to expand our sphere of concern, even when it becomes challenging, even when we have to go outside of our cliques and communities. We have to. There's no other way.
Talking about TSA officers, I had to deal with them, at least twice a week, because I was a big traveler when I did IT consulting, and every single time I was stopped with a yellow card given, and then sent to the interrogation room. Why are you going? Where do you live? How much you earn? Who pays you? Whose laptop is this? Where did you buy it? Things like that. All devices being scanned, got to stop no matter what, if it is the airport or if it is the land border or anything. The best thing I used to do is just remain quiet and remain calm and sit tight and relaxed, and no anxiety at all. And that led me to, go places very easily. Initially, I talked about profiling. That's really, really is a bad thing that is being done against certain people, especially based on color, based on religion, based on all different kinds of things. And I would definitely, with your permission, Alia, on behalf of this show, I would extend this, that please, please, for God's sake, stop profiling people. If you, it's like a yo-yo, okay? If you will profile people, people will profile you as well.
Yes.
And then you have to face the repercussion of that. So, I mean, I would request that please let the people be who they are, and just accept them, embrace them, and extend your love. Start with the love and affection, and everything will be peaceful. The world will be a peaceful place to live in. So thank you so much. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Alia, I really appreciate it. And going forward, definitely we'll keep trying that our voices be heard, and our voices can reach to the right people in the right manner, right? We don't have to be negatively aggressive and all those kind of things. There are different ways to, communicate. Let's be peaceful, and let's have our voices enough power to reach the other end so that they can be heard. Thank you so much on behalf of Dream Television. the Aijaz Qureshi Show, myself, all the viewers who have watched the show live or commented or will be watching according to their time zone. We thank you for your time, Alia.
Thank you, sir, for your time and your commitment to the show and your reach and impact on people.
Thank you.
You bring much value to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, viewers, that was Alia Sarfraz, all the way from Chicago, originally from Australia. And thank you so much for time with us. And we'll say goodbye and take care of yourself and people around you. Allah Hafiz.
Okay.